This is my princess line panel dress sewing pattern number 715, a guide to making up. This is the PDF pattern. Members of AngelaCain.com can download it here or just click the buy button. I couldn't find what I wanted in the dress fabric department, so again I'm using furnishing fabric. This French fabric is 100% linen and has a wonderful feel. It is labelled dry clean only, but I have pre-washed it. I have lining fabric. It is worthwhile buying a quality lining, anti-static and washable. I have a maximum length concealed zip and I have thread to match. Here is the pattern laid out. Don't overlap the pages. Just butt them together edge to edge and tape. Visit my site for more information on downloading and cutting out my patterns. I have cut out all the main pieces. Use the same pieces for the lining, but cut a ½ inch off the hem. You will find layouts for most common widths of fabric. All the notches are marked with a snip into the seam allowance, and I have transferred the dots marking the vent using tailor's tacks. This time I have overlocked the long seams before construction. This linen fabric will fray. I have ironed on the interfacing. I have decided against centre front seam this time, so I have lined up the centre front with the fold. I am not concerned with matching the pattern. Note the placement of the vent interfacing. This is the left back as you look at it from the back, and the interfacing is placed here along the centre back line, which will be a fold. Make sure you align it with the centre back notch here. This is the right back. The interfacing is placed on the underlap extension and the interfacing supports this edge. Stay stitch around the neckline and the armhole. It is easy to stretch these seams and you will end up with a baggy armhole and neckline. So that is machine stitching just inside the seam allowance. We will then be snipping into the seam allowance when constructing the vent. These are the left backs and these the right backs, wrong sides together. Wrong side, wrong side. We will clip to the dots here on the main fabric and here on the lining. And before we do that, we will stay stitch those corners. Insert the concealed zip. I have shown this in so many previous videos. Check them out. My method is the best. The zip is installed. We will complete the back seam from the zip to the dot. Pin, baste and machine and press the seam open. We will also pin, baste and machine the lining back seam from the zip opening to the dot and press the seam open. We can then fold in and hand or machine baste the seam allowance on the lining up to the neckline. The centre back seams are stitched and I've neatened the lining seam allowance. And I have machine basted the edge that will be slip stitched to the zip tape later on. Don't press this fold. It is easier to slip stitch down an unpressed fold rather than a crease. Next we will sew the centre back vent. Watch me do this in more detail in the videos Sewing a Pencil Skirt 2, Sewing for Beginners How to Sew a Vent, and also Sewing for Beginners Panel Coat Sew Along Part 2. Check out my 715 sewing pattern page where you will find all these videos. So place the lining and the main fabric wrong sides together as shown. It is important to match these 3 dots accurately. Join the underlap, lining and main pieces. Then join the overlap, lining and main pieces, again being careful to match these dots. You'll notice the lining is a ½ inch shorter because we trimmed it earlier. Special note, I have forgotten here to turn up the lining by ½ inch and baste. This is important when you come to stitch the hems later on. After stitching, this is how it looks. I've pressed the centre front fold and the underlap. You can neaten these seams by overlocking them together. Next, we will deal with the seam allowances at the top of the vent. Fold in the lining seam allowance here. Slip these turnings out of sight through the slit. That is how it will look when finished. It needs securing. Fold the lining back out of the way. We will machine stitch along here, not exactly on the seam line, just above. Stitch too low and the lining will pull up the dress at the back. Get hold of all these pieces like this. Pin, baste and machine across here. We don't snip into this angle of the main fabric here. The back vent is looking good. And it looks good from the wrong side. Part 2 continues with joining all the panel seams. Here are links to more tutorials. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep up to date with the latest videos, and check out my website for sewing pattern downloads and more. Thank you for watching this series.